Yeah, man. Let's do it, man. What's up, man? It's your boy G Bush back again with another one. It's another one. Yo, man. We got about where we at? What we doing? We got about how many? We got about probably it's about 24 hours to the draft. It's about 24 hours to the draft, and I got one of my young boys with me, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh, y'all, listen, y'all stop in the chat already, man. You guys in the chat is already doing too much. I'm not talking about Kevin Love tonight. I might get on Kevin Love. That's later. You guys in the chat be doing way too much early, bro. But we got a special guest, man. You know how I do with this this X's and O's with the regular Joes, man. I got a special guest. I got a young dude from the Ohio Media School. Dude has been grinding out here, man. He says, "Yo, G Bush, man, put me on, dog. Let me holler at you. Holler at your boy. You know what I'm saying? You got everybody on the X's and O's with the regular Joes. I see you out here. I see you. I'm an OMS guy. I got 17 mock drafts ready to go. I got 35 mock drafts ready to go. Put me on, my guy." I said, "Listen, I got you. I got you." I said, "You ready to go? You ready to go?" He said, "We good, man." So we gonna, without further ado, we're gonna bring in my guy from Ohio Media School. We're gonna bring you in. You ready to go? You ready to go, Curtis? You good? We're gonna bring you in. Here we go, man. We got Curtis Brown. He's from Ohio Media School. We're gonna get him in on here. We'll make sure he's ready to go. Yeah. We're gonna make sure Curtis is good. There we go. There we go. What's up, my guy? Hey, what's up, bro? How you living, bro? So we got Curtis Brown in here. So Curtis, man, listen, man, you know, the NFL draft is coming up, right, man? You hit me up. You said, "Oh, listen, man. Yo, listen, I got 17 mock drafts ready to go for you, G Bush, man." So when you look at this draft for 2021, my G, what are some things that you looking for? What are some things that you see all the time in this mock draft, and what are some things that exemplify what this draft stands for you? Is it a trenches draft? Is it a receivers draft? Is it a quarterbacks driven draft? What are you seeing, Curtis?
When I look at this draft, honestly, I see so many potential players that could be stars in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence, we all know he's going to be a star with the Jags. Zach Wilson with the Jets, that's interesting to me because when I look at that team, they have a lot of holes. Their offensive line outside of Mekhi Becton is not really that great. And I feel like the receiving core is, average at best. I know that they signed Corey Davis. They also have Jameson Crowder, but they also just have a lot of holes on that team that needs to be exploited and fixed in this upcoming draft. And the whole situation with the 49ers, who to pick, Mac Jones or Trey Lance, they're not even going to consider Justin Fields, which I think is ridiculous because Justin Fields in that Kyle Shanahan offense is a perfect fit. You put him with Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Mostert, that offensive line that just got better, that team will actually be, I wouldn't say, playoff contenders yet, but they'll be better than what they were last year because Jimmy Garoppolo isn't at quarterback. Then you have Kyle Pitts, who honestly I think is the best player in this whole draft, honestly.
So hold on. You got him. Hold on, Curtis. You hold on. We done already started, and you got your man as the number one overall. He think he the most talented dude in the draft. Kyle Pitts isn't that nice to you? He's that nice?
Yeah. I've never seen a tight end run routes crispy ever. Like, it's amazing how good he has been this year. I mean, he had Kyle Trask as his quarterback, and I don't think Kyle Trask is that good. But overall, I just think he's one of the best players in this draft. Probably one of the best tight ends I've ever seen. Actually, I wouldn't say he's like the greatest yet, but overall his game is just ridiculous. And I respect Kyle Pitts for that, honestly.
I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you this about Kyle Pitts. My question with Kyle Pitts is this. We've seen this in Cleveland a lot, man. We've seen it with Odell Beckham. We've seen it with other guys, man. You can draft a guy like that. That works out well for you, right? You can draft a guy like that. But how do you go about getting him the ball? Can you get him the rock? Can you spoon feed him the ball? Because you're only as good as your coordinator. You can't take a guy that high at 4 and then have him hit with his hand in the dirt 7, 8 times a series. You gotta stretch him out. You gotta pull him out to the side. You gotta throw him screen pass. You gotta get him involved vertically. Do you think that's something that they'll be able to do? The team that's going to draft him will be able to do that.
They will find a way to incorporate them, basically incorporate him into their offense. But overall, I just feel like wherever he goes, it's just a good fit for him. In my mock draft, I'm not going to really preview anything, but I've had like multiple teams, pick him up, and just by the way their offense is set up, it's
When I look at it, I will say this, man. In terms of it, when I look at it from a perspective of saying, even if you got a situation with the Atlanta Falcons, even when you get the situation with the Atlanta Falcons, we're working on getting Curtis back in here in a second. When you work on getting a situation with the Atlanta Falcons, you gotta do something to get him open. Because right now, here's the thing that you're running up against with the Falcons. And I told somebody this earlier. If you don't get this one right, there's a lot of people going to get fired during this draft. Mark my words. Kyle Shanahan. Hey, my G. Look, this Mac Jones pick, you might be, you ain't gonna be in the soup kitchen line. You got the bag delivered to you. But here's the thought process, my G. Here's the thought process behind these draft picks. For you to come out here and you're gonna say that you're not even looking at Justin Fields. It's Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Like, see, you're not doing yourself any justice right now. I'll take Trey Lance because just for the simple fact that he got the physical tools. But I'm not taking Mac Jones. I'm not taking Mac Jones with your pick or my pick. I'm not taking him with nobody else's pick. You got to think about something. Y'all got to understand something. Jalen Waddle, first round pick. Devontae Smith, first round pick. Multiple offensive linemen, first round picks. Let's not talk about the stable of backs that they got. Mac Jones is playing with a whole doggone a roster full of people. Hey, man, somebody bringing up Cody Kessler. The ghost of Cody Kessler. Let me see. No, he's not back yet. He's not back. There we go. There we go. Curtis, what's up, man? We got you back. You right back into we talking about Mac Jones in a way that Mac Jones is out here really moving up the boards. And how do you go from a guy that people didn't know about before the beginning of the season to a guy that is rotating and moving all the way up past the second round into the first round when he was never spoken about higher than Justin Fields? How is Mac Jones possibly the third overall pick right now?
I'm trying to figure that out myself because when I look at the film, Mac Jones, he's good, but he's not great. I consider him to be average. I consider him to be the fourth best quarterback in this draft, maybe fifth, honestly. And when I look at the offense that he was in, well, when you have Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, Eric Mechie, when you have an offense that stacked, you better put up those numbers. But when I look at him beyond that, yeah, his arm is good, but he's not mobile. And a lot of people give him this Tom Brady comparison. And I look at that and I think, well, yeah, they do make a valid point. But if you're the 49ers, you don't trade up to the third spot to take Mac Jones. That's ridiculous. It's either Trey Lance or Justin Fields because those two fit your offense from a scheme standpoint. When the 49ers, and I watch the 49ers a lot, they use a lot of these play action bootlegs, and most of these quarterbacks are mobile. Jimmy G, who before he got hurt, was in that offense. And that offense was predicated on those play action bootlegs. And most of the time, he was either just flat-footed and just couldn't get around. He could basically just, scramble, get a few yards. But if you put Trey Lance or Justin Fields in that offense with the play-action bootlegs, if they see a wide opening right there, they're going to take off with it. Mac Jones, I wouldn't trust him to get, 3 or 4 yards because he's just not that fast. He's honestly slow, honestly.
When you talk about, Mac Jones and Nana Rav 8 or Nana Rave 8, I think says teams are afraid of Justin Fields because it came out that he has a family history of epilepsy. So teams are scared or just don't want to bother with epilepsy. I couldn't even say that, but here's the problem with that. It's as hard as it was for me to get that sentence out. That's how hard it's going to be for Mac Jones to evade rushers. I don't know if you guys understand what Mac Jones is. This is the thing that always happens, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. This always happens during the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year, right? 2 or 3 weeks left into the draft. You get guys that just move up and move down and move up and move down. And sometimes you talk yourself right into something and you talk yourself out of good situations. At the end of last year, everybody said Trevor Lawrence and everybody said Justin Fields. Now, while you watch those guys, you got enough tape on them. Those guys were 1 and 2 coming out of high school, right? Out of Georgia. So now all of a sudden, 3 years later, they've done nothing to really hurt their stock, so to speak. But all of a sudden now, even more, Justin Fields goes out and runs a 4.4. And you take a look what he was able to do. You take a look what he was able to do against a team in the college football playoff and coming back from being injured. And you would think that would raise his draft stock. We just see someone in the chat say epilepsy. What do you think the main reason for Justin Fields in terms of his draft stock falling a little bit?
It's got to be this whole stigma. And I've been seeing it a lot when it comes to black quarterbacks. Like, all these problems just come out of nowhere when during the season they didn't have these problems. And some of it has to do with this Ohio State QB history. Look, I'll just say this. Justin Fields is the best quarterback out of Dwayne Haskins, Cardale Jones, JT Barrett. When it comes to those 3 quarterbacks, he's better than all 3 of those. Dwayne Haskins was, I would say, a raw prospect. He should have stayed an extra year at school, but for some reason he decided to go pro early. I mean, to be honest with you, when you're projected to go first round, you go where the money tells you. And when I look at these other Ohio State quarterbacks, they didn't pan out. Justin Fields is probably the best one out of all of them. And I just feel like it's just ridiculous how his stock is declining when he had, a great year. The Indiana Northwestern games, yeah, he didn't play well. I will admit that. That Indiana game, I sat there with my dad. I watched that entire game. There were some throws he shouldn't have made. He tried to play hero ball too much, pressing late, trying to force balls that he had no reason to throw. The one throw that he made, that was an interception that Ohio State eventually recovered for a fumble because Julian Fleming was able to hunt him down and strip the ball out. That play he should have never made. He has good athleticism. Use that athleticism, because if you try to do that in the pros, it's going to cost you. And he cannot do that, honestly. And he's a one-read quarterback. I get some of it. If his first read's open, he's going to throw to it. But this season, I've seen multiple people say, oh, he's just a one-read quarterback. He can do this. He can't read a defense. I'm like, well, look at the Clemson game. Look at that. I just tell him to look at that because there were multiple times in that game he made, instead of looking at his first read, he went to the second read. He went to his third read. But I just feel like his stock is falling for some unjustified reason. I mean, he's QB2 in my opinion. There's no reason why many of these experts have him going as low as 32 or 26. I just think it's ridiculous.
When and by the way, we just want to shout this out again. Once again, welcome on into GBUSH Live. We got my guy Curtis Brown in here. Special edition of X and O's with the regular Joes. We'll be back again tomorrow. So if you don't know now, we will be live streaming probably an hour, almost 45 minutes to an hour right before the Browns, take the clock. So we'll be on, and you'll get your instant reaction. You'll get your instant reaction. If you want to get your instant reaction here on GBUSH Live, listen up, man. Hit me up. You DM me on Instagram. You can DM me on Facebook. You can direct message me on Twitter. Wherever you're at, you can send me a message even on YouTube. If you want to get your instant reaction from the draft, we will be on tomorrow on a special live. GBUSH Live will be on a half hour to 45 minutes before the Browns will be on the clock. Afterwards, you will have an opportunity if you want to get your thoughts. Maybe your guy was there, they didn't take him. Maybe you're a guy that wants Zaven Collins is a big name. Maybe you want him. Maybe you want a Caleb Farley. That's a big name right now. Maybe you think one of the receivers might fall. Whatever the case may be, get your live reactions here. They'll be right here on GBUSH Live on all major platforms. Curtis, let's talk a little bit and transition to the Browns a little bit. Let's get into that Browns talk. When you look at the Browns right now, I told you, right now, the Browns got a lot of bases covered. They got a lot of bases covered. And when you look at this draft, they could go a lot of different places. They can go linebacker. They can go corner. They can go defensive line. They can go front. Where do you see the Browns having the strongest area influence that they can really go to really add something to this squad and make this a true Super Bowl contending team?
I see them going towards defensive line more than anything because Larry Ogunjobi, he's gone. He signed with Cincinnati. They also got rid of Sheldon Richardson because of cap reasons. They brought Clowney in, but they got rid of Richardson. So now their interior defensive line needs kind of that disruptor, kind of that person that fits the mold. I've seen a lot of D tackles being mocked to Cleveland. A common name one was Christian Barmore from Alabama. One that I would keep a close eye on, Nixon from Iowa. I've heard a lot of good things about this guy. I've actually watched a couple of his tape. He's not bad, honestly. I think he could be a perfect fit for them. Maybe Marvin Wilson, maybe Onwuzurike from Washington. Maybe, and this is a guess, honestly, they probably take a defensive tackle in the second round, maybe go after Tommy Togiai from Ohio State, who really just emerged out of nowhere with his play. I saw him play against Penn State. Dude balled out. He had probably one of the best games I've ever seen. And I felt like if he played in the national title game against Alabama, he would have had some form of an impact. But defensive line, they have to upgrade the interior. I mean, they picked up Clowney, who's a gentrified run stopper. He's not a pass rusher. That's not what he's going to be brought in here to do. They also have Myles Garrett as well. I just feel like they're going to go in the path of picking a D lineman. Maybe they pick a linebacker, but who knows? I mean, the defense is much better than they were last year with all the moves that they made. They just have to upgrade the D line, and they're solid all around. Honestly,
for me, I looked at this and I was talking to I was on with Quincy Carrier. Shout out to Quincy Carrier. Make sure you go watch The Worst Takes. Salute to him, and go ahead and subscribe to that channel as well. He drops Browns videos, Browns content all the time. Shout out to him. We talked about Owusu-Koramoah. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is one of the guys that I think can be around from Notre Dame. I think he can be around 19, 21. And you might have an opportunity to jump on up and grab him. Now, he may not be there when the Browns pick at 26, but there's going to be a lot of people that ain't going to be there at 26. I'm worried about Zaven Collins not being there at 26. I think I think the Baltimore Ravens have an opportunity that they jump up. There's actually the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, got a great opportunity to jump up and do that. So there's a lot of guys that's on the board where the Browns are sitting that I think could be here. It just all depends on the way the board goes. I think one of the things that it depends on is which person is get antsy for a quarterback, who overdrafts a quarterback, who overdrafts a receiver, leaving the defensive players there for the Browns. Where do you see as far as the linebackers and some of those guys in the late 20s being there for the Browns?
I feel like the most logical fit because I feel that Koramoah is probably going to go earlier to Washington because I look at Washington's linebacking core. It's not really solid. They have what Cole Holcomb and who else? Khalid Hudson, who played at Michigan last year. It's not really strong. You put Koramoah in that defense in Washington. You know that front four in Washington's already stacked. You put Koramoah there, who can basically he can cover a wide receiver. I mean, he covered Devontae Smith when they played against each other. You put him in that defense that's feeling the need. I'm kind of weary with Zaven Collins, honestly. The one name that I keep hearing go up on the draft boards, Jamin Davis from Kentucky. I watched some of his film. Dude is an absolute baller. I feel like he could fit that need in Cleveland if he follows that route. But a linebacker, anybody, it's either Koramoah if he falls that far, or Collins or Jamin Davis. I think possibly Micah Parsons falls to Miami. Honestly, I don't think he goes as high as a lot of people expect him to go. That whole character concerns issue doesn't really bother me. I mean, honestly, if I'm being completely honest about Michael Parsons, I feel that he'll fall probably in the mid 10, 15 range, not because of his little character concerns, but because he didn't play this year, honestly.
I've been hearing a lot of that too. And let me get back to this. Shout out to the Square Table Degenerates podcast. Shout out to you guys. Salute you as always for what you do. I was on that podcast as well. G Bush, what's good, homie? I salute you guys out there. Thank you for the super chat. If you guys do want to salute, and you do want to represent the show, please do so. It helps us create content. It helps us create content, shed light on new and upcoming guys like Curtis and a lot of other people in the industry that want to get a look, that want to be out on different platforms. This goes to help and do those type of things. So shout out to Square Table Degenerates podcast. Make sure you go out to and subscribe to that and salute to them as well. Curtis, you talked about it. I think Micah Parsons is a guy for me. He's a guy, my brother, shout out to my brother Bryson too, by the way. He's been beating my ears up about Micah Parsons for like ever since the beginning of last year. He's like, dude, there's a guy named Micah Parsons. Look, he got a single digit number. Every time you get a single digit number, you just look a little better. Now that they're letting them get it off in the league. He got the number 11. Penn State got the plainest, ugliest uniforms, the sweetest, plainest, ugly. I don't understand how those uniforms are cool, but they are. But running a 4.4, running 4.4, he's an athletic freak. In terms of, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, with Quincy Carrier too, is how do you go about getting this guy? How do you go about making sure that you can use him like a Jeffrey Simmons, right? Like a Simmons out of Clemson. We heard a lot about him last year about he's going to play safety and all those other places. Yeah, you gotta spot shadow him. You gotta put him in positions to run blitzes and get creative with him. He's not a finished product. What's your thought about Micah Parsons and what his upside can be?
My upside is he could be a really good pass rusher, honestly, because when I saw them play against Memphis, the one thing that stood out to me was his athleticism, like his get off, his ability to hawk down defenders. It's just his ability to play as an edge rusher. I think it's more likely that he plays there. In coverage, he's more of a liability, honestly. And if you put him in coverage, as a Mike linebacker, outside, and he has to cover somebody, I'm not going to be too thrilled about that. Because while he was at Penn State, there were multiple times where they will put him in coverage and they will line him up with, either a tight end or a wide receiver. And most of the time, he doesn't do as well as I thought he would do. But the ceiling for him, honestly, is an edge rusher. That's why I think he should play. Do I think he's going to play other positions? They're going to do what they did with Isaiah Simmons, move him around a little bit. I honestly don't think that. But, I've seen stranger things happening when it comes to Micah Parsons.
Let's move around a little bit. Let's get to this, man. This is my favorite thing right here, man. So let me ask you let's get to the nitty gritty. So I like to give these questions to everybody that steps into on G Bush Live. I got to put you I got to put the pressure to you a little bit.
I knew that was
All
gonna come.
right, Nick, can you give me one player in this draft that if you take him, the coach might be getting fired soon?
That is a tough one. That is a tough one. I'm
I
going.
told you I wasn't gonna
That
let you
is a tough one.
slide.
That is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with, you know, it's got to be Kyle Shanahan. If he takes Mac Jones, the 49ers fans are going to be pissed. Not only they're going to be pissed, they're going to be asking for John Lynch to get fired with him. Because when I look at that division and I look at the Rams, they got a quarterback finally, but their defense lost John Johnson. They traded away Michael Brockers, and a couple other pieces are gone as well. Then I look at the Cardinals, who their offensive line got better. They added AJ Green, which I don't think that really moves the needle much. And then I look at Seattle, who improved defensively. I mean, they lost their top corner in Shaquille Griffin. They also let Quentin Dunbar go, but they upgraded their pass rush, which I didn't expect them to do at all. They picked up Kerry Hyder, Aldon Smith. He has some off the field issues. And you look at the 49ers, that whole division has 4 teams, maybe, just maybe, can make the playoffs. Do I think all 4 of those teams make it? No, but Kyle Shanahan has to realize if Justin Fields is at number 4, you take him. Not number 4. Number 3, you take him. Don't BS around with it. If you take Trey Lance, that's fine, but he's going to sit for a year. I think Trey Lance is a raw prospect, a lot of upside to him, but the thing that kind of bothers me, he's not ready to start just yet. You sit him down for a year, and if you feel like he's comfortable with taking over the reins, you play him right now. The one thing that, concerns me about him is his accuracy. His accuracy concerns me, but when you get to the NFL, they can fix that. Another thing that kind of shocks me when it comes to Trey Lance, people are going to say, oh, well, he played in FCS. He played for North Dakota State. Well, North Dakota State, if you guys don't know, is a D1 FCS powerhouse. They are probably one of the best schools at that level. Some of the competition he didn't play, but this past year, I mean, when COVID happened, he only played one game, and people were, judged that game because, he had that one little showcase game to basically prove where he's going to be. And I said,
That was kind of wild.
by that much, honestly.
That was kind of wild a little bit. They really did just break the budget for my man. They just kind of was like, hey, we're not going to do anything this year. You guys, social distance, but we're going to put Trey Lance out here. He has an opportunity to go in the top 5. Shout out to that school, man. Shout out to them. If you're thinking about going somewhere where they will spot shadow you and get you a look, there. And go there. They will cancel the whole season. But if you're a top 5 pick, come on down, buddy.
But I just think that, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you can't go with Mac Jones, honestly. If you do, then 49ers fans everywhere are just going to be angry because considering the amount of talent that you have in that offense that, despite losing Kendrick Bourne, which I don't think is a big deal, they have Ayuk, Samuel, George Kittle. Their offensive line got a little bit better when they added Alex Mack. They re-signed Trent Williams. And you look at everybody else in that division, you just have to pick Justin Fields, honestly. And everybody would like to see Justin Fields play Russell Wilson twice a year, like to see him play Kyler Murray twice a year. Like, they're making it seem too much difficult than it is. I mean, if they go with Trey Lance, that's fine. But Mac Jones, if you will with Mac Jones, go ahead. If you want to lose your job, that's fine. Just make sure that you start packing your bags early, or basically looking for, new houses for your family. Because this,
you getting them up out of here like that, man. Let me ask you this. So we've talked about, we've got into the player that may not necessarily be here, right? The player that may not necessarily be the right choice for you because they're gonna get you up out of here. You might get them and be gone, right? Let's talk about a player, right, that you think not right now, but maybe 2 years down the line we could be talking about as a guy that is the guy that's the steal of the draft in terms of we didn't hear nothing about him, but this guy could be a two-time, three-time Pro Bowler in a couple years?
That is a tough one. I just know for a fact. I have like two that stand out to me. Patrick Surtain from Bama. He's really, really underrated to me. I feel like he's probably one of the best corners in this draft. And if you put him in a situation, probably the best bet for him would go to Dallas, but an underrated spot would be the Carolina Panthers. And here's why. You have to go against Mike Evans, Julio Jones potentially, maybe Michael Thomas, probably Michael Thomas. And those guys are big body receivers. And Surtain fits that. He can handle those receivers. And if you put him in a situation with Carolina because their secondary is not good, it wouldn't matter to me, honestly, because if you put him there, you're set. Another player that I would keep a close eye on, J.C. Horn. I literally think he might be one of the most underrated cornerback prospects in this upcoming draft. I know he played for South Carolina. Don't care about that. Whenever he went against the SEC, the SEC, that's the big boys of college football. He handled himself pretty well, honestly. And the one team that I think that could take him, it makes some sense, the Chargers. Here's why. Brandon Staley, who used to coach with the Rams, he was the D coordinator. He was just hired to be the coach for the Chargers. You know who was the cornerback that he coached? Jalen Ramsey. You put him in that position in a defense that's going to get Derwin James back. Their D-line, when it comes to Joey Bosa, if he stays healthy, they're probably going to pick up another edge rusher. When I look at that team, you just look at that potential for J.C. Horn with Derwin James when he comes back and he's healthy. That defense is going to be a tough outing for some people.
All right, man. You've been dropping gems on us, and so I think this is a perfect spot where to drop this, and this is the last one before we let you go. And I want to appreciate you coming on, dropping your knowledge, and make sure we get your YouTube, your Twitter, wherever we can find Curtis Brown. Shout out to him, and where you can find any of his work in upcoming stuff as well. Rosie B says, and appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. I really definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much. What would you like your team to draft in terms of the Cleveland Browns? And give me along with this, and I thank you for the super chat. And if you guys want to continue to help me reach my goal, please, you can send super chats, or you can go to www.gbush.live/tip. You can go there as well if you don't have anything on YouTube. Let me ask you this question. If you're looking at it in terms of this, give me a pick if the Cleveland Browns move up, and give me a pick if they decide to stay where they are.
If they move up, I expect them to take Owusu-Koramoah, only because I feel like their linebacking core, I know they picked up Anthony Walker, which was an underrated signing, but I feel that, Mac Wilson and Taki, they're good, but they're not great. And when I look at JOK and his versatility, he could play. His cover skills are probably one of the best I've seen coming from a linebacker. When you put him in that situation with that already, talented defense, there could be problems for everybody. I feel like if you draft him, could he cover Lamar Jackson, maybe play a spy role, honestly, because whenever the Browns play the Ravens, I notice a trend of them trying to put a linebacker on Lamar. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. You put JOK on Lamar, then there's issues. But if they stay where they are, they probably pick up an edge rusher. Maybe an edge rusher. I have them taking Kwity Paye, who is pretty solid. Another player that I've been hearing a lot of is Rousseau. I mean, this guy was a DB at 19 years old. They moved him to defensive end, and he probably played he was pretty solid for Miami. He didn't play this upcoming year because, he decided to opt out. But he's been working with Calais Campbell. He's a freakish athlete, and when you have somebody like that who's raw, and you can just put him right next to Garrett. You put him next to Garrett, and that's a pretty formidable duo. But I see them either going an edge rusher, a linebacker. I've heard reports that they're interested in Caleb Farley, which I think they should stay away from Caleb Farley because of his back issues. Maybe they trade up for a cornerback and Greg Newsome. I think Greg Newsome could potentially fit that little secondary with that's already formidable. You have Ward, Greedy who's going to come back. You also have Troy Hill. You have John Johnson, who honestly was the most underrated signing this whole free agency period. Not to mention Ronnie Harrison. You're going to get Grant Delpit back. And the ability to have those cornerbacks be able to stand against maybe the Patrick Mahomes, maybe against the top tier offenses in the AFC. You just put all of that together. Maybe they go defense. I don't see them going offense until maybe the later rounds. I had them taking Nico Collins from Michigan as a potential option, maybe Tylan Wallace, but overall, they're probably going to go defense. All they have to do is just upgrade the defensive line. Once they do that, the team's set because your team improved drastically over this offseason. I think they might win the AFC North. Do I think they'll go further than that? Who knows? We shall see. But right now, if we are talking about where the Browns are right now, they're probably the team that is likely to win the AFC North this year. I look at Baltimore, and Baltimore, they picked up Sammy Watkins, not much of an upgrade. They just got rid of Orlando Brown, traded him to Kansas City. I thought was, kind of a dumb move trading them to a team that you're trying to beat, but they also have to draft capital. So I had them taking an edge rusher, then pick up another wide receiver. Their O-line is better, not really better, but when it comes to the guard positions. But when I look at that defense, Judon's gone. Ngakoue's gone. Their secondary is okay, but not great. Their D-line outside of Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell, they need to figure out their defensive tackle situation. And I look at the Steelers, and, they let Bud Dupree go, and Bud Dupree got overpaid immensely by the Titans. I thought that was a very terrible move. And I just look at the Steelers and I look at the Bengals. The Bengals are rebuilding. I think they won't be good until probably next year. And I look at the Browns right now. I mean, you have an opportunity to win this division flat out. If you can beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, you play the NFC North this year. You got to take on Aaron Rodgers. You got to take on Kirk Cousins there, I'd say. You got to take on the Lions. You got to take on the Bears.
You got the Vikings in that mix too as well.
And not to mention, you got to take on the Cardinals in Week 17 since you have another game added. So you got to deal with Kyler Murray. You got to deal with D-Hop. You got to deal with all these potential teams. And if you upgrade the defense, which the defense last year was average to me, they were an opportunistic defense. They thrived off turnovers. But when it came to the running game, in certain games, they were getting gashed. The pass defense was either terrible or either spotty at times. I've seen so many Andrew Sendejo breakdowns and coverage.
Hey man, listen, I'll tell you, it was crazy. I'll tell you. Listen, I'll tell you what, Curtis. I did it. So many blogs. I just stopped calling him Curtis. I just stopped calling him Sendejo. I started calling him 23. I'm not gonna call your name no more. You're 23, bro. I couldn't agree with you more in terms of the draft. I think the Browns have a lot on their plate, and I definitely think there's going to be something that they can definitely do to really make themselves better in this draft. I appreciate you jumping on with me tonight. Let everybody know what your Twitter handle is and where they can follow you and check out your stuff.
Oh, yeah, for my Twitter, I can put it in the chat, but it's Kurt_Brown21 on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm not as active as much, but it's CSmooth56. I'll probably post my mock draft later on Twitter tonight. I will go into detail with that. But all I know is that most of the mock drafts that I've done, the first one that I did was not good, to be honest with you. Then the second one, I've kind of did some research. I did a lot of trades. The first trade that I did with the second mock draft was New England trade up to get Justin Fields, which I think is a strong possibility. I've been hearing reports they're trying to trade up for him. If they do that, that would be great for them. I've had multiple mock drafts where I had Micah Parsons go to Miami. I've had multiple mock drafts where I had Jamar Chase going to to the Bengals instead of them picking up Sewell, and I look at the Bengals from that perspective, they need a tackle or an offensive lineman, but their biggest problem is the interior. Joe Burrow got hurt because of the interior pressure. And I look at their offensive line. Jonah Williams will likely start left tackle. Riley Reef, I think, honestly, Riley Reef is a one-year rental. They could move him inside, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if you move Sewell inside, because he's very versatile, moving a guy who played tackle and moving him to guard, that could work. But I feel like they'll take Chase, honestly, because, they need some wide receivers. They'll probably take an offensive lineman later on in the upcoming, draft, probably draft somebody, either Alex Leatherwood, maybe a center to help out. Kendrick Green from Illinois is another name I heard of. And the one pick that I think might get a little bit of controversy, I mean, not really controversy from my perspective, is Caleb Farley dropping to the Jets. I don't think Caleb Farley gets drafted in the first round, honestly. His injury issues kind of concern me, not to mention he took COVID off for this year, basically. He caught COVID, actually, but he didn't play this year, so I'm a little bit skeptical with that. Another name that I think a lot of people should really pay attention to, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon might be a day 2 pick, a day 3 pick.
He's a sleeper.
Yeah, a sleeper.
I'll give you that.
Probably one of the most underrated backs in this draft, honestly. The one player that I think lost a lot of money this past year is Shaun Wade. The transition from him being an outside corner just didn't work. Him playing the slot is somewhere he needs to be at. I did a little bit of research. His father actually tweeted out that he actually had to deal with a bunch of injuries, which, kind of understandable, but I felt like that transition from him going from an outside corner, not really going from a slot corner to outside, it just didn't work out for him. But I think maybe he falls to the 3rd round, maybe the 2nd round, honestly.
Man, I'll tell you what, Shaun Wade gonna mess around. Shaun Wade, listen, if there was anybody that might should have opted out, it was Shaun Wade. He might have should have opted out. Shaun Wade was getting first round money. He was getting first round money in terms of what he was doing back in the day. And all of a sudden he showed up, talk about, hey, Justin Fields amped you guys up. He hyped you up. Let's come back and do it for your senior year. Clap it up. And guess what? Indiana had a field day. Penn State had a field day. We're not even going to talk about what Clemson did. We're not going to even get into what Alabama did. And it was not looking good for Shaun Wade.
That Alabama game, that was probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. Like, he was letting Devontae Smith do whatever he wanted that entire game. I'm like, dude, you got to jam him. Press up against him. Like, stop letting him go by you. And, the one pick that
he was giving him the moves.
Actually, that was great.
He was giving him the moves. You can't touch me. Don't touch my body. Don't touch me. What do you do? You couldn't do nothing about that. That's Devontae Smith. He's like, stop.
Yeah, but the one move that I think a lot of people might not expect, I think the Bears trade up with Denver and take Mac Jones. Why? I don't think it's really necessarily a safe pick. But in multiple mock drafts that I've done, I've had them trading up to 4 to pick up Trey Lance. And now I look back at it now, Mac Jones is more of a safer fit. Because let's be honest, the Bears right now, that whole front office, they're getting fired after this year. They're not going to be there that much longer. They tried going after Russell Wilson, didn't work. Then, honestly, I thought they would go after Deshaun Watson, but that whole situation with him just kind of drew teams away, honestly. But I look at the Bears. Do they pick up a quarterback, or they stay put, or they upgrade their offensive line? I think they could possibly do many things, but the whole gist of this whole draft, we don't know what's going to happen. The first 2 picks, we all know Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. Zach Wilson is going to go number 2. The rest of the draft is just questionable, honestly. The one thing that I've seen a lot of is this Zach Wilson hype. And I honestly think this hype just reminds me of Mitchell Trubisky back when he was at North Carolina. I watched Zach Wilson's tape from 2019 to this year. He's improved, no doubt. But when people say he's this perfect prospect, no, he's not. He has some flaws. That Coastal Carolina game he played against, it was not good for him. I thought he played average. I honestly thought he played worse, honestly. But that Houston game, too, there were 3 balls that he threw that could have been picked. They were underthrown. I thought some of those plays he can do in the league, but him going to the Jets, honestly, it's not really the best ideal situation for him. He's probably going to start from the jump, and which is going to be expected. I mean, their 2 quarterbacks are James Morgan and Mike White, and I would imagine, they're going to hand him the reins.
He's a day one starter. I have questions about Zach Wilson. I have questions about a lot of the quarterbacks. One thing I will say is when you do drop your mock draft tonight, make sure you tag me in that. Make sure you tag me in it. I will tweet it out to the rest of the people so they can take a look at that. And by the way, if you are in the chat, get your questions ready. I will answer your questions in reaction from Browns fans. That's coming up here in a moment. And as well, if you want to check out the live will be on tomorrow. Tomorrow, make sure it'll be a half hour before the Browns pick. I will go on live and we will go throughout the Browns pick. And we will definitely do that. We'll take your comments, and then we'll have some live individuals who will call in as well, man. Curtis, man, I really appreciate you, my G. Let's talk again, and we'll do it very soon.
Salute, my guy. I appreciate you letting me
on. No problem. That's my man, Curtis Brown. Shout out to him. Shout out to you. If you're a guy, man, if you're an individual who wants to do it, if you're an individual, if you want to, be on, if you're an individual that's in school, you want to do a podcast, you want to do certain things, here at GBUSH Live, we try to give individuals, a place to do their thing, a place to have a platform to do it. When I came up, we didn't have nothing like that. I came up, I was answering phones. I was doing whatever I could to get in the game. And I told people, I promised that when I got an opportunity to get in the game, I was going to give people opportunities. Whether you in the industry, outside the industry. And that's how I know that when you talk about being real, you got to be real and still be about it and not forget what you talked about doing. So always 10 toes down. Shout out to Curtis. Shout out to Ohio Media School. Always rep them, because without Ohio Media School, I wouldn't be where I was at today. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Shout out to them, Emmett Golden, some of the great alums over there as well. Let's get to this, man. Let's get to some of these comments, man. Let's get to your comments, man. We want to get your reaction. We want to get your pulse. We want to catch the tone of what you feeling. What are you feeling moving in? We got about 13 minutes here left before we get up out of here. Don't forget, make sure you like on the way in, you like on the way out, and make sure you are sharing this. Make the algorithm know what it is, man. Make them know you support what GBUSH Live is doing. What are your thoughts going into Saturday, going into this weekend, going into Thursday, going into Friday? Because it's a different feeling, people. This is a different situation. See, Curtis. Curtis. He's modest. He was modest. He was modest a little bit, right? He was modest, but we ain't modest over here. The Cleveland Browns are poised to do something nice. They are poised, and trust me, people be coming around Johnny come lately. I said 2 weeks ago, for all the people that used to get on Jimmy and D Haslam, where y'all at now? Come on now. You got to keep it real. You got to keep it a buck. If all the individuals wasn't talking and wasn't doing and was saying all the flying pilot J jokes, all of the Josh Gordon and the Manziel jokes and all that good stuff, where is y'all at right now? See, I'm a trailblazer. I was the first to talk about this 2 weeks ago. If you're going to be talking about Jimmy Haslam, you got to give him his roses too. You got to give him his flowers too. You talking about 1-31? Now you poised tomorrow You poised tomorrow to be in the clubhouse. You see how comfortable. Did y'all catch that pass? Did y'all catch what Jimmy and D was up there? They looked like they was up there dating. They looked like they was up there just chilling and relaxing. Just Cleveland Browns. Let me just sit back, Jimmy. Yeah, we was already rich. we had already been rich. Now we good too. Look at what we got. Look at all these picks we got. Look at this cap space we got. I bet you they sit there at the house and just be playing around with, like, look, you ever had your little G.I. Joes and set them up on your board, and you get your little hut and you get your little stuff together and you put them in the tent, and then you tell your mom and dad, you got to come play with me? Come on, man. It don't matter if they get a Barbie or a G.I. Joe, whatever the case. Remember them little green soldiers and men? Them plastic ones in the different formations like this, moving around? Boy, Jimmy and D Haslam be at the house setting up moves. They were like, hey, hun, come over here. Look what we got. Yeah, we're going to put Jarvis over here. When Odell comes back, we're going to put him over here. They'll be like, yep, we got Clowney over here. She's like, but Clowney plays defense. It doesn't matter. He's an athlete. Shoot, where's Miles going to go? It doesn't matter. He could play special teams. Just put Miles over here. Put him over here by Baker. Well, I didn't know they played the same position. Doesn't matter. Give him the ball. Let's run play action. Look. Hey, you know who we got? You know who we got over there, don't we? We got that John guy. Run play action with them. Bro, if you going to be out here, I need the likes up too. You got to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit the like button. Stop playing around. The Cleveland Browns at this point, if we going to be on Jimmy and D Haslam when it was down and we didn't have no picks and we was taking L's every week, you got to understand where we at right now. We have the opportunity with a couple of key picks to get these boys up out of here. What does that really mean? Say it, Garrett Bush, we don't know what that means. You got the opportunity to get these boys up out of here. See, the Ravens, you just going to get rid of your tackles? Why would you get rid of your tackles? Don't you know we got 96 speed rushers? What are you doing? Like, we just feeling good about ourselves, bro. See, that's the problem. I want to salute them too, because here's what and we got to get this up too. And I'll give them straight facts on this. Jimmy Haslam and D Haslam is giving brothers a shot. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. You know, it's a lot of people talking about supporting, minority businesses, supporting minorities in the public. Jimmy and D Haslam, look how many people they're not hiring. Sashi Brown, for better or worse. You may like him, you might not like him. But African-American. Ray Farmer, African-American. Highsmith, African-American. You may not like Hugh Jackson, African-American. Andrew Berry, African-American. And here's the thing. He's not just going around getting people like these are affirmative action positions. These brothers is qualified. But he's giving opportunities and shots. And they make it. And right now, Andrew Berry is making the most of his, boy. He's making the most of his. I need him to come over here and help me with my budget. He got to help me with my budget. I don't know how he keep getting these players. He has everybody. I was going to break this down to later. But let me tell you something. Andrew Berry, in my last 6 minutes before we get up out of here, let me set up something for y'all. This is Hunger Games. Don't nobody steal this out here too. I'm listening. It's 30 people or something watching on a shout out to you, 30 people at 9:30 on like a Wednesday or something. Shout out to y'all. This is Hunger Games. I better not hear nobody say this. Right now, do you understand what's happening? You remember how in Hunger Games, They used to have everybody fighting against each other, and they would be all in a powwow. And there was couples of two, and they'd be friends. But then they realize they get out in that little atmosphere, and they get out in the wilderness, and they gotta get rid of each other, and they gotta hunt people, and they be like, and then all of a sudden people fall off. They put their name in the sky. Well, here's the thing. This is Hunger Games right now for the Browns. Look at the brilliant way that they working with this cap. Let me ask, people not seeing this. These guys is operating under 100% pressure for everybody. Everybody. People don't even be knowing it right now. Can you count? Hey, listen, put in the chat, matter of fact, let's get the chat jumping again. Put in the chat the person on this team that has to have a make or break year, that better have a career year this year to get this bag of money. I can lead it off. And I bet you it's more than you even think if you haven't thought about it. Think about it. We'll start with the two obvious. Jarvis and Odell, Hunger Games. Which one of y'all is going to be on the team next year? You came in as friends. Which one of you is going to give me that $1,400? Hey, listen, Sean Coop, Baker Mayfield, they gave you a 5th-year option. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen. When you guys go ahead and give me something, I'll go ahead and put that on the screen so we can comment on these together. Here we go. There you go. Baker Mayfield. They gave you the 5th-year deal. They gave you the 5th, but they didn't give you that Brinks truck like they giving everybody else. They looking for 4,000, 4,200, 4,300, 40 touchdowns. That's what they want to see from you. Everybody operating under the Hunger Games. Baker like, yeah, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him what I got. Who else needs a bag of money? Oh, Sean Cooper is on fire. Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward. Hunger Games. You trying to get that Jalen Ramsey money? You want that 19, 20 million a year? That Jalen Ramsey bag? That Jalen Ramsey money is a difficult type. Because here's the thing. Here's the way Hunger Games works. See, corner is a premier position. You know what else position is premier? Wide receiver. So you tell me. I know Jarvis, you getting $12.5 million a year. Huh? Odell, you getting $14.5 a year. You think they're going to... Come on, Denzel. What we saying here? Oh, who else is calling in for the Hunger Games? This is the Hunger Games hotline. Who is this? Mr. Meeks. Chubb is the hungriest. Pardon my delivery. Nick Chubb is livid. He's livid. First of all, Nick Chubb got 2nd round money. Nick Chubb never got the 5th-year deal. Nick Chubb is out here playing for a McDonald's land cookie, 3 Whoppers, and a 3-piece spicy nugget with no sauce. He's mad. That's crazy. They talking about you can't get Derrick Henry money. No Derrick Henry money for Nick Chubb. No. You looking at Alvin Kamara getting money. They didn't let Christian McCaffrey get the bag on you. How many backs gonna get the money? How many backs is really gonna get the money? Huh? See what I'm saying here? We ain't even got to everybody. Y'all ain't even understanding what I'm saying right now. The ramifications. Look how many people's on 1-year deals. We could count to the 1-year deals right now. Hollywood, 1-year deal. You might want to do something, bro. Clowney, 1-year deal. You might want to do something. Takk McKinley, 1-year deal. You might want to think about something, bro. Walker, 1-year deal. Looking crazy for you. Malik Jackson. Man, Sean Cooper, listen, have you been in, listen, are you peeking through my window? Wyatt Teller, slow clap. Slow clap on the Wyatt Teller. You know what? You know why? You know why that Wyatt Teller is huge? See, Wyatt Teller came out of nowhere. When somebody comes out of nowhere, what does that do? Let me phrase it in a better way. You ever notice when somebody comes out of nowhere, you know what you ever notice that girl you used to play basketball with? She was a tomboy. And then all of a sudden, one summer, she come back to school and you be like, whoa. Well, looky here. Who's this? Who's this Topanga? Who's this Topanga girl over here? This ain't the girl I was running around pushing down over there last summer when you get all of that. That's Wyatt Teller. And when Wyatt Teller is a late bloomer, that means he's taken away from somebody else's money. Somebody else was going to get that money. It was allocated. It was in the budget. It was for you. But Wyatt Teller came along and became the greatest guard this year. What are the best offensive line by Pro Football Focus? 92.9 grade. Highest run blocking grade given in 10 years. Leader of the most diabolical, pounding, crushing offensive line led by Wyatt Teller. Are you serious? But here's the thing. Everybody else on the offensive line is rich. Teller. Guess who else is rich? Conklin, 10 million. 11, 12 million for the other guard. There's another guy who has to have a great year. I know you do the players unit, J.C. Treader. You know they drafted Harris. They got Nick Harris. They was moving him around the guard and stuff. I'm just trying to give you something. We haven't even given you Greedy Williams. We haven't even said that's a given. Greedy Williams should have been the first person we give, right? Odell Beckham. I hope you coming back. Oh, I hope he's playing Hunger Games with y'all. But it'll work. And you know why? Ain't nobody got no comfort level. You think these dudes is out here trying to give away they livelihood? No. And Andrew Berry is sitting there twiddling his thumbs like, hey, man, if you ball, the first one to ball gets a check. You think Nick Chubb ain't trying to come out the gates with 600 yards in the first 2 games? He's trying to get his bag now. You think Denzel Ward don't want a deal in the middle of the year? You think Odell Beckham don't want to get that thing off his back? You think David Njoku ain't already somewhere auditioning in his mind for another team? He like, man, listen, they about to pay this kid from Florida all this money. I was the kid from Florida originally. I'm the vertical threat. See, that's the thing. But it all works out to the well and good of the team. Because Baker Mayfield is sharp. I watched him. I've been weighing him in my mind. I'm seeing if he's picking up any weight. Nope. Face still trim. Good. Odell Beckham is off Twitter. Myles Garrett is still running around doing really crazy, silly stuff like playing with dinosaurs. I ain't heard nothing from nobody. I got Kareem Hunt. We ain't heard nothing from him. Everything is on the well and good in Cleveland. Everything setting up quite nicely. We doing our thing right now. All we need to do is get to 2-a-days. Y'all can stop looking at the Cavs. Cavs season is over. Indian season is finished. Who else? Hey, Indian season is over. It's done. Chalk it up. Cavs season is over. Kevin Love. Yeah. Listen, you might as well go back to being the big Kevin Love. I would rather you be in Shapely. Be Shapely and do something. We're not worried about y'all. Listen, I'll tell y'all what. I keep trying to tell people. You think I'm lying. Let me tell you this. Y'all cats don't understand. It's the middle of a pandemic still. Kids ain't even been in school full time. People is laid off. They still trying to give another stimulus check, 3 more stimulus checks. You think people in Cleveland got time, money, and energy to be forking out and let's go to an Indians game, 6-7 games. Let's go to the Cavs game, 6-7 games. No, we ain't got time or money for that. Y'all gonna keep playing around if y'all want to. And these Browns gonna come back and shadow realm everything. We not even gonna be paying attention. We done forgot the Cavs even was over there again. Y'all better stop playing around, bro. These dudes be acting like we got an attention span. We don't care. Come on now. 2 days is right around the corner. Anything after this draft, especially if they draft, if we make a blockbuster deal or whatever we're gonna do tomorrow, we in it to win it. The Browns is top 4 in the league. Top 4. Y'all might want to find our way to play Lindor or Bieber or whoever the case it may be. And Kevin Love might want to stop throwing the ball off people's legs. Because pretty soon people going to tune y'all out. And that's the worst thing to happen in a small market team hit by a pandemic with little to no money to go all around to all the teams. Y'all better get it together. As always, I appreciate y'all. Tomorrow, during the draft, if you are on Periscope and you want to get your reaction in, hit me up on Twitter, DM me, and we will talk about getting you on. If you on Facebook and you want to be on and get your reaction heard first, ain't nobody doing it like this. First of all, ain't nobody doing it like this. Where all the other hosts, they're not doing it. If you want to get your stuff heard first, hit me on Messenger. We can get you on. I'm going to try to get as many people as I can to get people on to talk about this Cavs. Let me mess my mind. The Browns draft pick will be on, and you can catch me on 92.3 The Fan. I'm going to be on the barbershop. You know what it is, 8 to 12. I'm going to be right back again on Sunday doing double duty. So it's GBUSH all weekend. So thank you, guys. Tune in tomorrow, a half hour before the Browns pick at 26. And if I hear any rumblings, I'm going live immediately. If they move up, I'm going live quick. So definitely do this. If you're on YouTube, please like, please share, please subscribe, please do all of that. Stop playing with your boy. It's your boy GBUSH. We out here in the streets. Peace up. A-Town down.